Hey everyone, good afternoon, and I thought I'd bring you along on some troubleshooting I'm doing with my pixel poles behind me. So if you look here, these are all working. This guy's off, working, and those two on the end are working. So what's happening is, and this is a problem I had at the tail end of last year, the last like 2 weeks, especially the final week of the season, and it seemed to get progressively worse. But what happened is I come out here at the start of my show every night, and several poles would be out, including the one that's out now. But I had between usually 2 to 3 poles out a night, and if I would reboot the Pi, they would come back on and they'd work, but then eventually they'd fall back off. So whether that was an hour later, 2 hours later, some point during the night they would go off again, and it got progressively worse to where they would sometimes only last 15 minutes or so before some of them would turn off again. You have to reboot. So it was really annoying and I couldn't figure it out. I thought potentially it was an issue because I had a mismatch of FPP instances last year. I didn't have a time to update any of my Pis in here because they take a little more involved. They're inside the enclosure. So I had just my master and a couple of the remotes that are out, like the roof, I think, were on the FPP 6 last year, and these poles were still on version 5. So I thought maybe that was causing an issue, but I didn't know for certain. And I had checked the logs and didn't see anything in the logs, but it just wasn't positive. So I thought, okay, this year we're doing a fresh reimage. Everything is going to the new FPP 7, and these are all on the latest version as of now, which is I think 7.3.5. And so last night I was doing some testing, and all of a sudden I noticed that 3 of the poles were off, and I was really frustrated. And I went in and rebooted them, and just like last time, they all came on and started working. But being the start of the season, I can't be having these poles and chasing the gremlins like I had last year. So I want to do some troubleshooting. I looked at the logs again, and I didn't see anything in there that was out of the ordinary. Some of them had lost connectivity a little bit beforehand with the master, or with all the Pis, but it seemed coincidental. And then when I came out this morning and saw that this guy was off, I checked the logs and those same issues were not there. It showed no issue with connectivity. So I'm like, that kind of rules that one out. But I did have an idea last night because these are color lights, and one of the things I've always heard about color lights is that they're somewhat notorious with needing a good Ethernet cable, and that you don't want to make your own cables with these. You just want to use a store-bought one. So I thought, wonder if something is going on with the actual Ethernet cable. I happen to be using a Cat 6 cable I got with these. They all have the same ones. But I thought maybe there's an issue with the cable. So the way I would test that is wait for them to fail and then go out and actually switch it out and switch out the cable and see how that happened. So that's what I did with this guy, and I'll kind of show you what happened with that and how I came to suspect that I believe that is my issue. And now I'm going to get new cables and swap these all out. So I'll show you behind the scenes here on the back and how these things work. All right, so this is what it looks like behind the pixel poles. I have the top off, which is this piece here, and it's wedged in, keeping the ABS enclosure going, and I got some vents in here. These are ones I printed, and I have a top and a bottom to allow some natural kind of convection of the airflow in here, and there's a screen mesh material behind it to stop any insects and stuff from being able to come in here. But anyhow, we have a 5-volt power supply, because of course these are panels. We have distro board, the Pi, and the color light card. And this is a mounting plate that I designed and printed that holds it all together. So what I noticed is our status light here was totally off, or was red, just like it is now, and there was no green light showing that it was receiving signal here. So what I did is I came here, I unplugged that guy and unplugged this guy here, and I had an extra cable. This happens to be the same one, but this one's never been used. Just sat inside, so we plugged that in. Plug that in, give it a second, and hey, we're blinking. And if I come to the front, you can see here, we're playing. So it's working. So that's what it was. I tried this several times. So I unplugged this, went back to the original cable, and everything was dark, nothing was working. Went back to this new cable, everything worked. Did that a couple times back and forth, and it just showed that there was something's going on with this cable. So that's where I'm at. Thinking it is that cable, so I can get a bunch of replacements to do all these poles, and hopefully, time will tell, but hopefully that will solve the problem. But it certainly looks like it for now. So that's it. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on the next video.